Hello everybody, it's Carl here. Today we've got a race from Mangakino to Auckland. It's 195 kilometres, raced on the 16th of June. And Mangakino is in the South Waikato, just looking at the general area there at the moment, just panning around across the lake. The lake's formed by the Waikato River just flowing in from the Lake Taupo and on its way out towards the Tasman Sea. As you can see, the weather conditions are reasonably good. Just got some fair weather cumulus lurking off towards the west, or towards the east there rather, and just looking down towards the south, that cumulus is probably around half the sky covered. Just a light westerly wind blowing at the time of the release, and temperature there was 11 degrees. So the races today, unfortunately we've had a few scratchings in today's race caused by some technical issues with the GPS tracking rings. Slot 3 we have Stubborn, trained by Gerald Avendano. And slot 4 Flap, trained by Roger Smith. That's Roger's first race in this tranche of races. So we also have June Villabrossa, his first time entry as well. Unfortunately his bird didn't finish in the allotted race time. Also racing we have Biden, trained by Louis Morales, and Mr. Perfect, trained by Theo Van Leer. So this is the release now. This is looking towards the northwest. Traps just opening up there, and the birds just settling themselves down before they head off. As you can see with the cloud movement there, that westerly flow is extending into the upper atmosphere as well. So as I say, this lake is actually formed as part of the Waikato River, so it'll be a natural line feature for the birds as they make their way towards Auckland, which is up towards the northwest. So off they go, and immediately turn towards home, making their way up towards the foot of the lake there. No circling at all, and they're all heading straight off homeward bound. So here's the GPS track, just leaving Mangakino there in the bottom part of the picture, and there's the extended river there, Waikato, just making its way off towards the right of the bird's track at the present time. Mr. Perfect is in green, and just tucked away underneath there in the yellow is Flap. That's Roger Smith's bird, and the red there is Stubborn. That's Gerald Avendano's bird, and rounding out there the light green is Biden. That's Louis Morales' bird, as we follow the birds towards their home lofts. So this is heading up towards Karapiro and Cambridge area at the moment. Looks like they're all staying fairly closely tied together at present. And a little bit of rougher ground as they manoeuvre across that, as they make their way up towards the Cambridge area there. Interesting, they've all taken a hook to the right, so that's going to be pretty much across the wind, so the wind will be from the bird's left at present. Looks like Flap's taking a slightly more easterly track. So as the birds travel along, the rings that they're carrying are polled by the satellites every 35 seconds, and then the computer does its best to interpolate the position as they make their way north. Just starting to make out the foot of Lake Karapiro there on the right hand side. And you see the Waikato River reforming in the top right hand side of the screen at the moment. So the studies that have been done around the world, one of the animal behavioural universities in America has got some fairly extensive study of how the birds actually navigate. If they know the route, they have got a fairly good map of that in their head, and that'll be the top of their list as far as finding their way home. But laterally, even a human being has a degree of sense of whether they're east or west of home. If you ask anybody who's suffered from jet lag, they'll tell you that they're obviously not in their home line of longitude. They've been moved east-west. So a little bit of higher ground ahead of the birds at the moment. Looks like they're going to be tracking up over that. So the birds have got a much faster clock speed. If you know anything about computers, then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the rate at which their brain actually cycles through information. And they say that it's a direct correlation with an animal's metabolism. So if you have a fast metabolism, the clock speed of your brain runs faster as well. And with that faster clock speed, it's understood from studies done that they're able to relate to their line of latitude to within a reasonable degree in about a 20 to 30 minute span. So it looks like Flap has taken a slightly more easterly track there in that group. Still staying together though in a fairly tight pack. So just on the top of the screen at the moment, as I've said before, that's Lake Karapiro there. And just coming up across the Waikato River in between Karapiro and Cambridge on the left hand side. Quite a renowned area for horse racing. So the 4 birds we have flying today were all released with buddy birds, so birds that they know from the same loft. They're not represented today. Not all the birds were carrying the GPS tracking rings, so the flock's slightly bigger than what you can see there on screen. So currently running up beside State Highway 1 there on the left hand side. It's just arcing off to the left. And the birds are just running up beside Mangakino on the right of them at present. Much flatter terrain now, getting good reception on all the GPS rings there at the moment. Everything's looking reasonably clean as far as the lines we're getting from them, and the birds are staying together in a very tight group. So we're drawing up a beam Hamilton in the next few minutes. So the pigeons are very reliant on that 4th cone that they have in their eye. Humans have a series of 3 cones that they have in their eyes to sense the different colours. So I think they're blue, red and yellow, I think, something like that. The pigeons have the 4th cone, so they're able to sense into the ultraviolet and infrared. So the sky looks quite different to them than what we can see. So that's the city of Hamilton just becoming visible now on the top left hand side of the screen. And Taufree's just on the right there. And just heading up towards Gordonton at the moment. So the birds are very reliant on getting sun sightings, and the Cornell University study that I was alluding to before was suggesting that they will recalibrate their flight path every 20 to 30 minutes of flight based on the sun sighting that they have. So looking at the sun's position in the horizon and using that as a function of what their known position is in terms of a line of longitude. Well, we've got a bit of a split going on here. Biden's taking very much a westerly track and hugging around the edge of Hamilton City, and the remaining group there, Mr. Perfect, Stubborn and Flap, are holding together in a very tight bunch at the moment. Biden is Louis Morales' bird, and his loft is more located towards the west, so it makes sense for his bird to know that track a little bit better, which is probably why he's got the confidence to split away from the group as he has. There he is there. So the Waikato River is the line feature you can see running through. Clearly Biden's much more comfortable using that line feature. So coming up towards Taupari, it's in front of this main group here, and Biden off to the left there is more down towards the Ngaruahia side. Interestingly, the main group looks like it's heading more towards the gorge that the State Highway 1 drives through. So just panning around, having a look at where Biden's actually crossing over. That's Ngaruahia there. As I say, much more comfortable position for Biden to actually be in terms of where his home loft is and what he's used to. So State Highway 1 used to follow the river just on the left hand side there fairly closely, but it's got a fresh route through on the right hand side. The birds are bisecting those two line features as we speak. That's Huntly just into the top of the screen there. Lake Waihi's the shallow lake there, just beside Huntly, top of screen. And Huntly Power Station is just to the left of the river. So they're pretty much crossing straight over Huntly at the moment. Stubborn's taken a more westerly track as well. Oh no, it looks like we just had a glitch there as far as the tracking data goes. But all settled down now. Mr. Perfect has just been oscillating around a little bit there, but still sticking together as a group. Taking a look around to see where Biden's got to. And he's still making very good progress there out towards the west. And looking over towards Kawhia Harbour, and looking over towards Mount Egmont, Taranaki. So up and towards the North Waikato now. So the Waikato River is just on our right hand side. That's the principal line feature that they've been following all the way through on this race. We did have the odd passing shower going through, but the birds have been taking a reasonably straight line. Biden there. Fear not, he's probably not travelling by himself because he'll have his buddy bird with him. There's been the odd suggestion the birds use smell for navigation and build up a like an odour map of their area. Given they have very few taste buds, it would probably translate that they probably don't have a particularly good sense of smell. So it's unlikely that that's the case. Not a lot of studies have been done as far as the bird's eyesight goes. So just heading up into the Glen Murray area. This is where we had our proof of concept race earlier in the year. Had some very good support for this race, but unfortunately the technology's let us down a little bit as far as the rings not performing as we expected them to. So looking up towards Pocono there, just coming into view. This is all the area that the birds know, looking over towards where Biden's coming up through as well. Just as the Waikato River fans out there a little bit, that's probably where he's going to be crossing. So this is heading up towards the Mercer area, just onto the right hand side of us at the moment. And further over to the right there, just outside the range of the screen, Mangakino. As we cross Pocono, a little bit of elevation there as we come up towards the Bombay Hills. So just crossing the Waikato at the present time. So as stated in the way we're doing the races here, we put the finish line half a kilometre on the release point side of the front marker's loft. In this case, our usual front marker, Kevin Malone, his bird's ring didn't actually generate any data stream at all, so his bird was unfortunately a technical scratching. It means that our finish line has actually gone quite a bit further north for this particular race. So that's Pocono there. And heading up towards Papakura now. Sorry, I do beg your pardon, it's Pukekohe. So just crossing over Pukekohe at present. Group release this time. Unfortunately, with us being in the depths of winter down here in New Zealand, the days are very short. So the original plan was to have this as a single release and then have all the time markers synchronized. But because of the time limitations we ended up with, the original plan was to have the race a little bit earlier than it was, but with the shorter day length we decided to do this as a group release. So that's just looking over towards Biden again. He's coming up towards the Glenbrook Steel Mill, Clark's Beach area. He's just picked up the Waiuku River, Pigeon that is, over towards the west. And our little group here is just heading up towards King's Seat. Alright, so just coming up towards the Manukau Harbour. Biden's plugging away there, just about to cross Clark's Beach, and you can see on top of screen the finishing arc, drawn as an arc, as I say, centred on the Mangakino release point, and then the edge of it falls half a kilometre inside the front marker's loft. Stubborn's taken a turn off to the right. His loft is over on the north shore, and Mr. Perfect and Flap, they're more towards the Waitakere Ranges for their side of the loft, their side of the country I mean, and you can just start to make out the Auckland International Airport top of screen. So yeah, Mr. Perfect and Flap are still hanging together pretty well, and over to the east, and we've got Stubborn taking his own real track there, heading towards Manurewa, and then looking west. Nope, not looking west. We've lost Biden. He must be around here somewhere. Ah, there he is. Oh, he's making best use of the westerly wind at the moment. He's zooming along, but hugging along the coastline there, the southern coastline of Manukau Harbour. So that's Auckland Airport there at present. So our initial group has dwindled somewhat. We've now got Flap and Mr. Perfect hanging together fairly well, and heading off more towards the east there, and Manurewa is Stubborn, and that's just looking back down track, and then looking over towards Biden there, taken very much a dog leg out that side of the racetrack. So just heading across Mangere at the moment for these two birds and their buddy birds. The reason why we've moved to a buddy bird system is the birds seem more comfortable travelling as a flock, and just to minimise any kind of stress, we've elected to have them travelling with another bird. So this will be a group of 4, with each of the ring carriers having their buddy bird with them as well. So that's Stubborn heading off there. He's more on the north shore, just coming up to the Ambury Park area at the moment. Looks like if they stay on that current track, they'll be around the Kingswood area as they make landfall on the opposite side there. So that's looking back towards Biden. Flap and Mr. Perfect just heading up towards the finish line now, and yeah, so they've just crossed over Ambury Park at the moment, and heading up towards Hillsborough and Oakdale Road, Mount Roskill. So if you're trying to orientate yourself with the Sky Tower was just very briefly visible there on the top right hand side of the screen. So Mr. Perfect and Flap, their lofts are up more towards the Helensville direction, Stubborn's making very good progress. Looks like he might be crossing first by the looks of things. In fact, Stubborn is really making some very good ground. Biden, the dogleg there, has cost him here, and then back to this two birds here. We've become quite split up with Flap and Mr. Perfect hanging together. Stubborn's just crossing the line, looking very good. That's a very, very good finish there for Gerald Avendano. He won the last race and he's won this one as well, and won it in very good order. His birds have been travelling incredibly well. So we've got Flap and Mr. Perfect. Flap just takes it out, just at the line. There was a little bit of a dip there, but yeah, I'd have to, having a look at the vertical view, Flap just crossed over ahead of Mr. Perfect, but very, very little in it. So the finish order there is Stubborn, Gerald Avendano taking it out, doing very, very well. Coming second we have Flap, Roger Smith, first GPS race for him, and he's come in second. Really good trip. Mr. Perfect with Theo Van Leer. Theo's had a very unfortunate time with the GPS races, in that he had some equipment failures in the last race. But we've got a clean run this time. He's taken out third, and then Biden with Louis Morales, who I think without Louis the GPS racing wouldn't be happening. There's so much work he's put in. So there's our placings and the aggregated points for this race. So 10 points, Gerald Avendano come in first. Second, Flap, Roger Smith with 9 points, and third, Mr. Perfect, Theo Van Leer, 8 points, Lou Morales 7th with Biden. So how does that leave us? This is the final race of this series. So we've had Kuiti, we've had Taumaranui, and now today Mangakino. And here are the aggregated points, and taking out the series, Louis Morales 25 points. Good work. Second, he only joined the GPS races in the last race, so he actually missed the first race, and was only with us for Taumaranui and Mangakino. Gerald Avendano 20 points, coming in second. In third place, Theo Van Leer, huge support as well, and that's a very good run from Theo. Fourth equal, we've got Richard Couchman and Don Campbell and Kevin Malone sharing fourth with 16 points each. Again, Don in particular has been a huge help for this whole series, and he's been doing the ring reading for all of the flyers north of the Harbour Bridge. Kevin Malone has been fantastic as far as offering support all the way through, and been very welcome to have him on board with us. And coming in sixth, Roger Smith joined us for the last race, and very pleasing to see someone else joining us as well. As I say, we have had some issues with equipment on that last one, which has affected us quite badly. I do hope you've enjoyed the racing on this GPS series. Once we get some longer days here in New Zealand, we'll start to ramp this up again. And congratulations to Louis. He's done outstanding work, and been there all the time or thereabouts, and it's paid dividends as far as his aggregated points goes. I hope you've all enjoyed the racing, and we've got more in store over the next few months. We'll probably run another GPS series, and we're also trying to get a little bit of an inter-club competition going as well. But as I say, we do need some daylight to make the racing happen, and do hope to see you all there. Thanks, and thanks for watching.